This weekend, we get the origin story for everyone's favorite puppy murderer. I checked it out this weekend and let's talk about it. Hey guys, if you're new around here, I'm the film fan. I do movie reviews, rankings, trailer reactions, etc., and all kinds of stuff. If you like that sort of thing, I'd love if you could subscribe, comment on the video, like it, and itch. Without further ado, let's get started. So, in 1970s London, amidst the punk rock revolution, a young grifter named Estella is determined to make a name for herself with her designs. She befriends a pair of young thieves who appreciate her appetite for mischief, and together they are able to build a life for themselves on the London streets. One day, Estella's flair for fashion catches the eye of the Baroness von Hellman, a fashion legend who is devastatingly chic and terrifyingly hot. But their relationship sets in motion a course of events and revelations that will cause Estella to embrace her wicked side and become the fashionable and revenge-bent Cruella. So, for a little bit of backstory on this one, for me at least. So, I had never seen the original 101 Dalmatians all the way through until earlier this week. At least, I don't think. I could be wrong. But I had always seen bits and pieces of it all across my childhood, so I knew it pretty well. Cruella was one of my favorite parts of it. She's not super deep or anything, but she's filled with so much personality and weird quirks that make her super interesting. However, when I learned they were doing a Cruella movie, I was admittedly very worried. The premise didn't seem like a very good idea to me, and the trailers weren't all that appealing. I was interested in this one, I guess, but not all that excited for it. The biggest draw to me was that it seemed to be a big Disney live action remake that would be very different. And the last time I had told myself that, though, we got Mulan. And yeah, ouch. So these things don't exactly have the best track record. So I had all the reason to be skeptical about this one. However, I heard tons of good buzz about it. It started to get good reviews, so I said to myself, maybe this could be good. I watched it, and here's what I thought. But before that, however, what did you think of Cruella? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think this was a fantastic idea for a film and a great job was done with it? Do you think this was a bad idea and lived up to it? Do you think this was going to be a misfire but ended up being surprised? Were you disappointed by this? I'm very interested in what your thoughts are on this one, so let me know in the comments. Without further ado, this is what I thought about Cruella. And let's automatically start off with the good. And the best thing straight off the bat that I can say is that it differs from previous live action remakes in that it has more personality, charm, uh, energy, wit, and then basically just all of the rest. It's so much more creative and stylized and feels like it actually justifies its existence too. In its color palette, it's so much more vibrant and colorful. It feels like if Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie from last year, was a period piece, and it's got this distinct flair to all of it in every shot and makes the experience so much more exciting. It's much more well directed and shot than most of these movies and feels less like an average product blockbuster and more of its own interesting thing. Along with all of that, you have an awesome soundtrack with Queen, ELO, The Doors, Led Zeppelin, and so on. You have this killer 70s track that builds on the personality and style of the movie and makes it even better. Also, everyone is super good in this movie. Of course, you have to mention Emma Stone, who knocks it out of the park. She's amazing as Cruella de Vil. She brings so much charm and charisma to what is a more unlikable character and makes her someone you can root for. Another person to mention is the other Emma. Emma Thompson is also incredible as the Baroness. She just does such a great job as this total psycho and condescending person who's like at the top of everyone, and she steals every scene. Both do such a great job. You also got Joel Fry and Paul Walter House in this, who are also good as Horace and Jasper. I didn't think they would even have that big of a role in this movie, but they did, and they even became part of the heart of it. And this one is also totally hysterical. I was dying laughing the entire time. There are so many hilarious moments, whether it just be Emma Stone and the way she interacts with people as Cruella, or the absurdity of certain other characters, and just all the good joke setups. It's all very funny, and I had such a good time with it. I didn't think it would be this way. On to some more extra technical stuff. The production design and costumes, all of that was great. If you want my Oscar-y take, since I'm going to start doing like Oscar prediction videos, I think Cruella, in fact, is possibly going to get a Best Costume Design nomination with the way the costumes play into the story and with the way all of it looks and is designed. I just feel like it's impossible not for it, dude. So, I'm misspeaking, you know what I mean. Okay. And moving on past that, it also ties into 101 Dalmatians in certain ways that I didn't expect. Obviously, it's about the villain of that movie, but it actually feels much more like a direct prequel and ties into the events of the first of that movie in a very interesting way. So that's another thing. I'm not going to go super into it for spoiler sakes, but just know that there are some big moments like that in the movie. And the final thing I'll say is that my biggest worry going into this movie, even more so than can this finally be the live action remake that is different and great, or will it fail, is how are they going to get us to root for and sympathize with this psycho lady that skins puppies? While this film does such a great job at balancing her out and making her likable, I think another good thing it also does help out with that too is just go, when it does get into psycho stuff, to just highlight the absurdity of it and just how weird and crazy she is. I find just the right mix of that and everything else with her to make her one of the most fun things about this movie. And you are able to root for her while also not agreeing with everything she does. And, yeah. This is a bolder, fresher, and hysterical, more interesting film from the Disney live action bundle that finally does something interesting with its source material and proves why it should exist. It does a great job and is very stylized, well acted, put together, funny, and is all around a very, very good movie. I'll say I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I didn't think it would be nearly as good, but I think it's probably my favorite Disney live action remake. It's not perfect though, so let's move on. And into the mixed category. And this is not a good or bad thing. I actually think this is a better thing for the most part, but it's something for parents to know going in. This is not a kid's movie. While it's very vibrant and hilarious, it's also extremely dark in its storyline and in its nature. It's about a very weird and not so great person. It's up to you if you want to show it to them, but it's not exactly an obvious recommendation for like family movie night. It's also something that could be boring to some younger people since it's a bit of a more longer movie, and I thought the runtime flies by, but it's a bunch of fashion design plots and stuff like that, and it only really gets to the more revengey stuff in the last third, but once again, I loved all of that about the movie, but it's all stuff you should keep in mind going in. To the actual negatives, let's move into the bad. And the biggest thing I could say is that it can get pretty repetitive in some sections. The director of this film seems to really love fashion heists and said, hey, fashion heists are pretty cool in this film. Let's do them 5 times. And yeah, it eventually starts to feel like they're running out of scenarios for the characters with it. And even though I guess I enjoyed each segment, every time one happened, I was like, oh, are they doing another one? Okay. And one more thing is, this is a movie that goes all out with everything it does, and the comedy, the style, and whatnot, and once again, I love that about the movie, but there are, naturally, when you do stuff like that, there's a point where it can go kind of far, and so there are a couple moments where we're like, okay, this is kind of too weird, too disturbing, okay, this is kind of cringe. naturally with these oddities, there's going to be stuff like that, and it is present here a couple of times. So let's move into the conclusion, and my final verdict is Cruella is a fresh entry in the live-action remake canon that does something new, creative, and riskier. It's darker in its storyline while being packed in a very fun, energetic, and hysterical way, with great performances and tons of great technicals. It's got a bit more of a visual flair and style to it than anything else in the selection, and it's, dare I say, probably my favorite out of all of these. I think this is, from what I've seen and remember, my favorite Disney live-action remake. So, if you're, is it worth paying $30 for it on Disney Plus? If you are in the mood for this weird oddity, strange mix with a ton of fun and style to it, then I would definitely say yes. I had low expectations going in, but it absolutely surprised me and I had a great time with it. It's definitely worth seeing. So I'm going to give it a B plus and an 8.5 out of 10. And I recommend this to fans of this character, and is it worth the price? I would say yes. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you stuck through right to the end, I very much appreciate it. If you could like the video, subscribe, comment what you'd like to see me cover next. I'd love that. If you can follow me on Letterboxd, that would be nice. I'll leave my profile in the description, and that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.